अशा टूलचा वापर करून तुम्ही मुलांकडून उत्तरं जाणून घेऊ शकता बिकॉज हिअर यू आर नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टँड हू इज गिव्हिंग यू व्हॉट रिस्पॉन्स. It is an anonymous input that is coming from the class, and the students also feel more confident about sharing what they know about a particular topic. So the way I did this, just to understand what backgrounds you all come from, you can do this also with respect to the topics that you are going to deal with in the class. Okay, which tells you about what is their prior understanding. Or even you can use this tool at the end of the class to check that whether they have understood the concepts that you discussed in the class. Many a times, even telling them to list the key words, that they heard in today's lecture is helpful because they will come up with the list of words which they have probably heard for the first time, or they understood the best, or they did not know it about them earlier, and now after your lecture they are much more clear about it, right? So these kind of activities, first thing, build confidence. They help in building confidence in your students to open up, to speak to you, okay, without having the notion that they might be wrong. Okay, without feeling shy that what will the class or what will the teacher think about them. So अशा टूलचा वापर नक्की करू शकता. This tool is called Mentimeter. Please take a note of this. In this tool, you can also generate other types of questions like MCQs, which they can click and answer like a quiz, or a pictogram based question, or even normal questions which come on slides. You can do a variety of things, not just word cloud. It is a free tool for around a limit of 100 students, which is a good number. Okay, so only if your classes cross beyond 100, then you will need to pay for it. Otherwise, it's a totally free tool. So please make use of Mentimeter in your classroom like I did to know about my class right now. Similarly, you can also use this tool to understand about your classroom in specific. Okay, so going back to my presentation, let me start with some pedagogy lessons, okay, because it's very, very important as in higher education, teachers are not actually given any official training unless they have done a B.Ed, though B.Ed is not mandatory for higher education positions, but there are several people who do a B.Ed and they come for teaching in higher education, but otherwise it's not a mandate. There is no official training, right? Because of which pedagogy बद्दल आपल्याला जास्त we are not trained in that arena, so we don't know a lot of terminologies that are used in pedagogy on a common basis. But before we get into that, I want to know की तुम्ही तुमचा lecture कसं plan करता. I need two individuals who can unmute themselves and tell me that how do you plan your lecture. की आज लेक्चर मध्ये मला हे करायचं आहे. So what kind of planning or how do you go about your planning? Can someone tell me? Just unmute any two people, huh? Because we will have lesser time, so I will not be able to hear out to everyone, but surely any two individuals. Please unmute and tell me.
So before going for a lecture, I search, or rather I search for some context to that particular topic, whether it
Excellent.
has some history behind it or some date and thing that is associated with it.
Yes.
And then some interesting fact if it is there with related to that topic. This is
Sure.
how we usually go for it.
Excellent. Very nice. Anyone else wants to share their way of doing it? No way is correct or wrong, by the way. So it's not that one method is correct and the other method is not. It's not like that. Every method has its own plus points, and every method has its own limitations. I won't say disadvantages, but limitations. So as teachers, we know that which method works the best for our class and which method will not have that kind of a response. So no method is right or wrong. Here we are not there to judge anyone. It's just to share our experiences. So anyone else who can share, how do you plan your lecture? Anyone?
Yes, sir. First of all, I briefly introduce the topic that I am going to deliver in the particular class,
Sure.
and try to extract the information if they have about the topic,
Okay.
and focus on the main aspect so that they get ready, at least get ready for the lecture.
Correct. Correct. Fantastic. Very nice, sir. Thank you so much. So this is why I asked you about it, because The traditional or the methodology that we have been following for the longest time is that we first identify that, okay, what all topics do I have to teach? Okay. And as per that, we make a plan, ki, okay, in this 1 hour lecture slot that I have, these are the topics that I have to cover. So I plan some activities to do, either it is chalk and board or showing them a video or sharing a story or historical context to that, as Gajendra sir said, or giving them some facts which are recent facts about that particular topic which has happened somewhere in the world, right? And then we try to summarize the entire content by going to the main concept, discussing that content in detail, and then summarizing it. That's how we normally do. That's the conventional way. But let me tell you another alternative design, which is really beneficial, which you can see on the right-hand side of my slide. Okay, I'll use a highlighter. So on the right-hand side of my slide, you can see another design where what is expected is that we first identify that what do we want our students to be able to do at the end of our class. Okay, so once I teach them this topic, what is the expected outcome? On the basis of those expected outcomes, I am expected to design my entire delivery. Not just delivery, but also plan how do I plan to assess them on this particular topic. Okay, so the planning is where you know what is the outcome of this particular lecture or this particular course. And at the end of the course, what my student should be able to do. So let me give you an example. So if it's a literature class and I'm expecting that my student should have the basic understanding of how to write a poem, okay, which means that the outcome is the student should be able to write a poem with the basic understanding of how a poem is framed. Okay, now if this is my outcome, I am going to plan all my teaching activities as per this outcome, which enables the student that at the end of the course, the student should be able to write at least one poem on his or her own. Another example, we teach in sciences a lot of concepts of normality, molarity, molality, right? Most of the times, the theory lecture is where we teach them, okay, this is normality, this is the formula. Now I'm giving you some problems to solve, and that is how the class normally goes. But the outcome could be if I ask a student to go and prepare a 2.5 molar solution of NaOH, 550 ml. They should be able to do it. Okay, so I have to plan all my activities on the basis of the outcome. Similarly, in commerce, people may have a learning outcome that the student should be able to tally a balance sheet, for which, of course, they have to know the entire structure of the balance sheet. They should know how it is maintained, how the entries are made, what these terms mean. But at the end of the course, they should be able to make and tally a balance sheet. So my activities in the classroom have to be aligned in such a way that this outcome is achieved. This is what we call as backward design. Why do we call it as backward design? Because we are thinking of the end first. We are thinking of what we want to achieve. What is the goal? And as per that goal, we want to design our delivery. Outcome आपल्या समोर असेल तरच आपण त्याला अचीव्ह करायला जे स्टेप्स लागतात ते डिझाईन करू शकतो आणि ते इम्प्लिमेंट करू शकतो. तर ते आउटकम पहिले समोर हवं. म्हणून UGC आपल्याला सांगतं की प्रत्येक कोर्समध्ये कोर्स आउटकम्स असले पाहिजे. कोर्स आउटकम्स तुम्हाला सांगतील की तुमच्या स्टुडंटला कोर्सच्या एंडमध्ये काय करता आलं पाहिजे. And hence UGC says that use Bloom's taxonomy, use verbs in your course outcome. कारण फक्त अंडरस्टँड हे वर्ब वापरून चालणार नाही. त्यांना काय करता येईल हे शिकून ते काय करू शकतात. Will they be able to make a solution of this molar? Will they be able to tally a balance sheet, construct and tally a balance sheet? Will they be able to create a poem, write a poem? These are the outcomes. And for these outcomes, now you plan how to go about it in your classrooms. Right? So this is a backward design where we don't think about the syllabus first. we think about the course outcomes first. Now, why is it important? Because in the new NAC framework that you all would have seen, this is what is important: outcome-based education framework, where they say that every institution has to have a mission and vision statement. Aligning to that mission and vision statement, you will have your program objectives. So a BA program, a BSc program, a BCom program, what will the student be able to do at the end of this program? Those are program objectives. And then for every course, you will have a learning outcome that by doing this course, what is the student going to be able to do? And keeping these in mind, your outcomes have to be aligned. Your course outcomes have to be aligned to your program outcomes. Program outcomes have to be aligned to your vision and mission. So if your vision and mission statement says that you want to create responsible citizens for the country, for that you need to have program outcomes. For that you need to have it in the course outcomes. Now, responsible citizen can be in any way, right? It could be in the form of a scientist. It could be in the form of a responsible CA. It could be in the form of an artist who creates literature which is worth or which is talking more about the societal issues, brings about upliftment of the society. So keeping that vision and mission in mind, how do I write my program objectives, or how do I write my course outcomes? And then frame your syllabus accordingly to meet those outcomes. This is the entire backward design that is being expected now from us, right? So of course, I'm not going to go into the details of how to write this, because that's not what is the scope of today's talk. But I'm going to tell you that to meet these outcomes, what can I do in my classroom? How can I change my classroom into a more active hub? So if you saw the title of my today's talk, it is Getting Classrooms Active with Engaging Pedagogy, where I do not want it to be a monologue. Okay, I don't want it one-way interaction. I want the students to contribute much more than me in my class. Remember, UGC tells that we are facilitators. We are not teachers in higher education. We are guiding them in the process of education, in the process of learning, where more active, more enthusiasm has to be from the side of the students. And we facilitate that activity, or we facilitate that enthusiasm and maintain the curiosity. This is a very interesting way to set the mode of my talk. That it is a study which has been done by National Training Laboratories in Maine, USA, which says that how do learners learn? So you can see that they learn the least by lecturing mode, 5% only. 10% by reading, 20% by any audiovisual aid, 30% by demonstrations that you may do in your class, 50% by any group discussions, 75% they learn by doing things, by practicing things on their own. And 90% they learn by teaching others, which means peer interaction is so important, right? And this is the most crucial aspect that we miss in the classroom. One is making them do things, let them experience it on their own. And second is peer interaction. And of course, there are several reasons for it. We will talk about that as we go ahead. Let us talk about one type of pedagogy. Let us start with student-centric pedagogy. In student-centric pedagogy, I'm going to take examples. I cannot address all types of pedagogy because it's a huge arena. Okay, so I'm picking up the most important ones, and rather the ones that I have experienced personally. Let us take first inquiry-based learning. Now, what is inquiry-based learning? Inquiry-based learning basically is that particular domain where you are letting the students explore things on their own and learn. So you are introducing something in the form of a question to the class. You are not saying, चलो आज हम photosynthesis पढ़ेंगे. नहीं. आप उनको पूछो, अगर धूप ना हो 4 दिन, तो प्लांट्स कैसे जिएंगे? जिएंगे या नहीं जिएंगे? क्या होगा अगर पूरा डार्कनेस है तो? So instead of going the regular way, introduce concepts to them in the form of questions. which they will explore. You are just going to be the facilitator. So before we come to these examples, let me see if I have that image over here, but no, I don't think I have that image, but let me tell you what inquiry-based learning does. So inquiry-based learning is where you select a topic, you select the question, you decide what resources are available. Because of course, I cannot tell them that you decide whatever you want to do. There are limitations. There are limitations of every institution, what set of resources we have. So you provide them resources, say these things are available. Now, using these things, you plan how to explore this topic. Okay, I've taken 3 topics from 3 streams, art, science, and commerce. So in arts, I've taken this question, are gender roles natural or socially constructed? So you can take a short story which has gender at its core, okay, or an advertisement which is showing gender bias, or any historical event which involves, gender related bias in the society. Involve discussions. Ask them, what do you think about this advertisement? Don't tell them, don't give away the answer. Ask them, what do they feel about this advertisement when they look at it? In this, different perceptions will come out. Every student thinks in a different way. Every brain is different. Different perceptions which you would have not even thought of will come out. That will bring in a very good discussion in your class. You will be able to, your job is to give it a direction. The discussion should not go haywire. Give it a direction. That's your job. You are a facilitator. Take it in the direction that you desire. But also value the points that are coming in which you did not think, because every perception is valuable in the classroom. Similarly, if it's a commerce finance class, you're talking about inflation. You want to talk about why suddenly there is a price surge that happens during festivals. Even though there is no change in quality of the product, but the prices are going high, they're skyrocketing. Don't we see this with products and services? Look at flight charges in December close to New Year. They skyrocket. Is it that they are providing us some extra service in the flight? They don't. So pick up some examples. Show them that, you know what, I was looking at the flight charges. Look at it in in July it was this, and now in December I'm seeing the same flight, same timing, same destination. Cost is 10 times more. Or take some product which is of daily use, which people know suddenly iska bhav बढ़ गया. क्यों बढ़ गया? क्या reason है? Real examples जो relatable है on a day-to-day basis, उससे discussion जो होगा, that is going to bring a lot of value into your classrooms, because students are going to be able to relate to those concepts. Similarly, in science, I've taken in another example that what would happen when sugar levels increase in blood. I'm talking about diabetes, but see, I have not even mentioned diabetes over here. I'm just asking the students that what would be the physiological effect of increase in sugar intake, so that they talk about concepts related to it, which may not be, directly pointing out towards diabetes, but they are now able to understand, oh, why do I see the symptom in diabetes? This is probably because of this effect that is brought about because of increasing sugar. This is learning, where students themselves explore concepts and they're able to join the dots. Okay. Another aspect that you can use is project-based learning. Project-based learning is really very effective. Of course, there are limitations with respect to what kind of resources you can provide them, or just give me a minute. What kind of resources you can provide them, how much, finances are available to do that kind of a project, feasibility, expertise, all this matters. But your institution, your students, and your expertise the best. On the basis of that, can you come up with a small project? It may not be something skyrocketed project, a very small project where students get to experience something on field, which makes a difference. That could be a simple survey, okay, in social sciences. That could be something related to an audit. That could be something related to a lab-based experimentation. Like in this, you can see my students, when we teach them microbiology, we show them how to grow bacteria in the lab. Okay, so for first year undergraduate students, we used to do this experiment for years together, where we used to tell them that what all things do you require as nutrients. So they used to say carbohydrate, protein, lipid. So we used to say that what do you think will bacteria require? So where do you get protein from? Where do you get carbohydrate from? Can we give the same food to bacteria also? So they used to get food from their home. Get chapati, get rice, get dal, get any meat. Okay, and they used to mince it and make a media and try to grow bacteria. Now, this is a completely different way of understanding that nutritional requirements differ from one organism to the other. But the way they learn, the kind of teamwork that they get in this particular experience, the way they think, the way they come up with ideas, they gain confidence of speaking in public. It makes a huge difference. So we have had students who have used millets and they have made media to cultivate bacteria in a much faster way. They have presented in different conferences. They have won awards for this. A small project, which probably starts as a learning experience, gives them a flavor of how research works, right? So that makes a huge difference to our students' life. Similarly, you can give them a problem-based learning. These days, people are talking about sustainability development goals, right? Everyone is talking of SDG goals. Even the government wants us to involve SDG in our teaching learning process. So this is a very simple activity that I did with my third year students last year, where I was teaching them a course on environmental sciences. And we were learning that how, audits are conducted. Okay, there is different types of audits. There are water audits that are done. There are audits related to carbon footprints that are done. There are audits related to e-waste generation that is done. There are audits related to solid waste management that is done. So I thought that teaching them audit theoretically makes no sense. They will just nod and then that's gone, right? But making them design an audit and do that audit works the best. So I found some apps. These apps are available. They are government approved apps which are used to conduct carbon footprint audits, to conduct water audits, to find out that at the individual level, how much water do you use in a day for different purposes. So it helps you log in your water usage on a daily basis. So I gave them a 30 days timeline. Okay, so every day they were logging in their water usage for different activities, and they could see the footprints. You can see here that it's data that is generated from their app itself, where you can see the amount of water that they were using on day one. Okay, and they realized where they are wasting water, and you can see gradually how the footprint decreased, and that is a phenomenal decrease. Okay, you can also see that they compared their water usages with other batchmates. They also tried to understand that जिसका water usage कम है, उनका कम क्यों आ रहा है? What are they doing differently? Can I adapt that? And then they adapted those practices for the next 30 days to find out how their water usage changes. Now, this is what talks about making them responsible citizens, giving them an experience, making them realize of the real life problems only when it becomes relatable. This is an activity that you can even showcase. See, this is majorly for learning, but there are so many other things that you can do, right? You can actually make your students do audit of your own college for these kind of things. NAC will be more than happy to see that your students are actually learning how to do audit. Your students have run that audit, found the data, and they're learning in the process of conducting an audit in reality. What's the outcome of doing these things, especially problem-based and project-based? So you heard about iGEM in my introduction. So here is Dr. Mayuri Rege, and this is Dr. Migdha Belwalkar, and this is me. And these are 8 undergraduate students. In second year, we had an opportunity of participating in a genetic engineering competition in Boston. So just like this, we wanted to see if we can give some project-based learning to our students. And we were looking at what problem to address. So a lot of our students said that, sir, you know what, people eat pan and they spit it here and there. Can we do something about this? Can we find out a solution? Because cleaning these pan stain becomes very difficult. And in Mumbai, especially in local trains, there are pan stains all over the place. And The cleaners, they are actually using concentrated hydrochloric acid to clean. Imagine so much of damage to the environment and so much of damage to the cleaners themselves because it is toxic. So hence, this project was taken up, spearheaded by Mayuri, and uh, because of her background in genetic engineering, we could actually modify a bacteria to eat palm stains as its food and break it down such that the stain becomes colorless. So we represented India in 2018 in Boston, USA. It is a competition which was started by MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, once upon a time. Now it has become an independent competition body, and we won gold medal there. So a small project which started as a project-based learning can have some outcomes which are really impactful. All these students that you see today are in different parts of the globe. They did masters from top-notch institutions after this experience at their bachelor's level because they had represented India at an international competition. They represented India, so they got an opportunity to do their masters in good research institutions and are abroad doing their PhDs in reputed universities. So this makes a difference to them. They also learn a lot of things. Next type is constructivist pedagogy, thought cloud generation, which we just did at the start of today's activity using Mentimeter. You can also do this. You can ask, you can give a word to the student. So for example, you can see a lot of these thought clouds are on viruses. So I asked in the first class, when you think about virus, this word virus, what comes to your mind? Make a thought cloud. And I was not surprised because when I did this, it was just the COVID time, and lot of answers that the words that they came up with about viruses was all COVID related. They had forgotten other viruses altogether. This is how, it works, that students assimilate a lot of things from the recent happenings. So I had to make them understand that is the viral world only about coronavirus? Of course not. Then I told them to make another thought cloud, come up with words that are not related to coronavirus. And I could see the difference in the thought cloud. I could see the changes because now they started thinking in a different tangent. So thought clouds or concept mapping, as we call it, can be done using paper and pen. But there are also a lot of tools like MindMaster or Canva by itself or Google Draw, where students can generate digital concept maps and they can use it for revising concepts very quickly. So once the concept is done, you can actually ask your students to sit in groups and make good concept maps. And those concept maps can be shared in the classroom, which the students can refer to revise any topic at any given point of time. Another important aspect is giving them a field experience. Okay, so being in biology, every subject has some field experience. Okay, it's not that only sciences have it. Even social sciences and commerce can have a field component involved. I'm sure you all have some of the other field component involved. So this is a very simple activity that I did. I will tell you what I did. As I used to deal with microbiology students. They did not have a lot of understanding of plants and animals. So I wanted to give them that exposure. So when you talk of food web, we all know about food web. We all have learned food chain in our lower classes, that how one organism is dependent on the other. So I took them to a park nearby our college. I gave them some apps, okay? Apps which are constructed by universities abroad, which are free apps. Once you take a picture of a plant or an insect or a bird or an animal, it gives you the entire janam kundli of that particular organism. कि ये कौन सा प्लांट है, इसके फीचर्स क्या है, इसके यूजेस क्या है, इसका साइंटिफिक नेम क्या है, ये इसको उगाने के लिए क्या क्या चाहिए, ओके, ये बर्ड कौन से दूसरे इंसेक्ट को खाता है या किस प्लांट को खाता है, सब कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन मिल जाता है. तो मैंने उनको ग्रुप्स में बांटा, उनको एप्स दे दिए. सारे अलग अलग एप्स होते हैं, प्लांट के लिए अलग, इंसेक्ट के लिए अलग, बर्ड के लिए अलग, एनिमल के लिए अलग. तो वो एप्स उनको दे दिए. उनको 2 घंटे का वक्त दिया. उनको बोला आप जितने डिटेल्स ढूंढ सकते हो इस पार्क में, जितने अलग अलग प्लांट को देख सकते हो, इंसेक्ट्स को देख सकते हो, डिटेल्स निकालो. डिटेल्स निकालने के बाद जब हम वापस आए तो मैंने उनको बोला अब इस डेटा को साथ में देखो और मुझे बताओ कि इस पर्टिकुलर गार्डन में क्या टाइप का फूड वेब है. क्या इस प्लांट के होने की वजह से ये इंसेक्ट यहाँ पे ज्यादा दिखते हैं, ये इंसेक्ट की वजह से क्या ये बर्ड ज्यादा दिखते हैं. So automatically they were able to generate a food web, a food chain for that particular location. इससे बढ़िया लर्निंग फूड चेन का नहीं हो सकता, क्योंकि उन्होंने खुद ये कंस्ट्रक्ट किया है। और जब खुद कुछ बच्चे करते हैं ना, तो उनको उस चीज के बारे में बहुत खुशी और कॉन्फिडेंस होता है, वो एंथुजियास्टिकली वो चीज करते हैं, मन लगा के करते हैं, दे गो बियॉन्ड व्हाट यू वुड एक्सपेक्ट। So this is a very good kind of experience that you can give your students even in your subject areas. You can think how you can do that and generate some fieldwork activity in your class. Taking them, out one class in a semester does magic. Believe me. एक क्लास अपने क्लासरूम के बाहर लीजिए, भले वो आपके कॉलेज के क्वाड्रेंगल में हो, कॉलेज के गार्डन में हो तो भी चलेगा, कॉलेज के टेरेस पे हो तो भी चलेगा, लेकिन उसका फर्क पड़ता है, स्टूडेंट्स ऑटोमेटिकली एक्टिव हो जाते हैं। ठीक, सो ये करके देखिए, इट मेक्स अ ह्यूज डिफरेंस। मेरे क्लासरूम में मुझे बहुत फर्क पड़ा, आई एम श्योर आपके क्लासरूम में भी पड़ेगा। जैसे गजेंद्र सर ने कहा, कॉन्टेक्स्ट सेट करना बहुत जरूरी है। ओके, टेलिंग देम व्हाई आर दे लर्निंग समथिंग दैट दे आर लर्निंग। कई बार ऐसे होते हैं, बच्चे बोलते हैं, "ये क्यों पढ़ रहे हैं, उसका क्या यूज होने वाला है मुझे बाहर जाके"। तो जब तक आप उनको रियलाइज नहीं करवाते कि इस कॉन्सेप्ट का आपको क्या फायदा होगा, स्पेशली वो टॉपिक्स में जो बहुत ड्राई होते हैं, ओके, जो बहुत ही बोरिंग और लल जाते हैं, वहां पर अगर आप कॉन्टेक्स्ट सेटिंग करोगे तो आपको बहुत फायदा हो। ये खासकर मेरा रिसर्च एरिया रहा है एजुकेशन में। आई एम इंटरेस्टेड इन एजुकेशन रिसर्च, सो आई हैव बीन चेकिंग दैट which all topics I can change like that, and I have been successful in changing a lot of topics by using context. And I am very happy that I could also present this in one of the education conferences, which was conducted by Homi Baba Center for Science Education, that how we can use context setting to make some topics very interesting. एक एग्जाम्पल आपको देता हूँ। हम जब बच्चों को बायोलॉजी में केमिस्ट्री पढ़ाते हैं ना, तो बच्चे बहुत गुस्सा हो जाते हैं। वो उनको केमिस्ट्री का इतना भयानक डर होता है, बायोलॉजी के स्टूडेंट्स को स्पेशली, क्योंकि वो स्ट्रक्चर्स देखते ही वो बोलते हैं हमने बायोलॉजी इसलिए लिया था ताकि हमको केमिस्ट्री फिजिक्स मैथ्स ना पढ़ना पड़े, आप हमको केमिस्ट्री क्यों पढ़ा रहे हैं। बट वो जानते ही नहीं है कि बायोलॉजी का कोई इंडिविजुअल एग्जिस्टेंस ही नहीं है। बायोलॉजी एक्चुअली फिजिक्स, केमिस्ट्री और मैथ्स की बदौलत चलता है। ये तीनों सब्जेक्ट्स का अमालगमेशन जो है वो बायोलॉजी है। बट स्टूडेंट्स आर स्टूडेंट्स, दे आर ऑलवेज अफ्रेड। तो जब मैं उनको एनैंशियोमर्स, ये केमिस्ट्री का एक कॉन्सेप्ट पढ़ाता हूँ, ये एक ही केमिकल के दो फॉर्म्स होते हैं, तो वो बोलते हैं यार बायोलॉजी में सब क्यों पढ़ा रहे हो, केमिस्ट्री में हम ऑलरेडी ये चीज पढ़ते हैं। तो मैंने बायोकेमिस्ट्री लगभग 10 साल पढ़ा है, अब 10 साल हो गए मुझे हायर एजुकेशन में। हर साल मैं कुछ नया करने की कोशिश करता हूँ कि बायोकेमिस्ट्री का जो डर बच्चों में है वो खत्म हो जाए। इसके लिए मैंने काफी सारे एक्टिविटीज डिजाइन किए हुए हैं। उनमें से एक एग्जांपल मैं आपको दे रहा हूँ जो सारे टीचर्स रिलेट कर सकते हैं, सिर्फ केमिस्ट्री वाले नहीं। तो ये एक दवाई है, दवाई का नाम है थैलिडोमाइड। ओके, थैलिडोमाइड दवाई जर्मनी में अर्ली 1970s में प्रिस्क्राइब किया गया था उल्टी रोकने के लिए। ओके, यानी वॉमिटिंग सेंसेशन, नौशिया जिसको हम बोलते हैं, उसको रोकने के लिए दवाई प्रिस्क्राइब किया जाता था। और अडल्ट्स को प्रिस्क्राइब किया जाता था, काफी सेफ देखा गया था, कुछ तकलीफ नहीं होती थी। तो डॉक्टर्स ने सोचा क्यों ना इस दवाई को फिर प्रेग्नेंट फीमेल्स को भी दें, क्योंकि प्रेगनेंसी में मॉर्निंग सिकनेस होता है, काफी उल्टियां होती है, तो क्यों ना हम उनको दें, काफी फर्क पड़ेगा। तो उन्होंने ये दवाई प्रेग्नेंट फीमेल्स को प्रिस्क्राइब कर दिया। अब जब ये दवाई प्रिस्क्राइब किया तो उसका एक फॉर्म प्रिस्क्राइब किया गया था, जो है एस फॉर्म। और ये एस फॉर्म काफी सारे प्रेग्नेंट औरतों को प्रिस्क्राइब किया गया, और करीब करीब उस टाइम पीरियड में 10,000 से ज्यादा बच्चे हैंडीकैप्ड पैदा हुए, जैसे कि आप इमेजेस में देख सकते हो। क्योंकि ये दवाई अडल्ट्स के लिए सेफ है, लेकिन डेवलपिंग बच्चों के लिए ये हानिकारक है। अब साइंटिस्ट वेर शॉक्ड, उन्होंने ये सोचा नहीं था, क्योंकि उन्होंने टेस्टिंग सब अडल्ट्स पे किया था, तो उनको लगा था अडल्ट्स पे सेफ है। उनका ये ध्यान में नहीं आया कि अरे शायद बच्चों पे ये डेंजरस हो। तो बाद में उनको समझ में आया, तो उन्होंने इस दवाई का